Now, our problem is, what is the quickest way to deploy a solution that is here? And for us, for children, it is through the public school system. But that's not easy because on the front lines, you have the teachers and maybe the directors of special education, so they can see what is going on. But the decision has to go up several levels, right, to the ones who do the purchasing or superintendents of, especially large school districts where so many people get impacted by it, taxpayers as well as children. It is hard to suppress a new technology, only because, by definition, a technology expands our capacity to do something, right? But it also makes sense to observe and see what kind of guidelines you should have in there in how it should be used. So, for example, if we're to use AI more, right, especially when it comes to the language part of it, or language production, whether you're talking about composing texts or something else, then if the student has that taken care of, right, by the technology, what more should you ask of the student? Maybe that's a question we should have. All right. And we spend so much time talking about critical thinking, right? So then let's put it to use, right? Let the students pull in the research, right? Because now it's so much easier to get all the answers, right? But then critically, the students should evaluate and explain the reasoning behind why certain pieces should be accepted or not. But it's not just critical thinking. I think we don't spend enough time on the other forms of thinking, like, for example, strategic thinking. For anyone going to the workforce now, that is just as important for the individual as it is for companies because of all the dynamic changes and the risk and threats to the individual or the organization. Creative thinking, of course, is so much more important too because of it. I'm just saying that there are other ways to look at it, rather than just try to resist, because it didn't work before when we tried to stop the calculator from being used in the classroom. It didn't stop people from adopting writing, the technology of writing itself, pen and paper, even though there was a lot of debate going on back then also about whether you want to have, reduction in oral memory, that sort of thing. Yeah. So at every phase, if you look at history, we can learn from the lessons before. But yes, it's true, we need that kind of guideline, and maybe regulation, but we have to be careful about not over-regulating so that you filter out things that should be provided to society.